Hello everyone, welcome back to another Total War Warhammer battle. This is going to be the forces of the Lizardmen versus the Beastmen. One of the few Beastmen players I've actually played against since I came back to multiplayer. It's nice to see Beast being played by other people than just me. So the front line here is going to be made up of a bunch of Source Warriors with shields. This is just kind of a staple of a Lizardman army, I believe. We have 5 of them up here on the front. We also have 2 of these Source Spears unshielded. These are going to be the anti-large variant Source Warriors of the Lizardman army. The Source Warriors is just one of my favorite of the mid-tier infantry in the entire game. They just have very tanky stats here. Well, they have kind of tanky armor for a mid-tier here. Like 60 armor is kind of... It's just tanky enough to be considered tanky, I think. It's not, 100 or anything, but still, for the price, I think 60 armor is very good. And then they hit just so heavy. Like the 52 weapon strength with 18 armor piercing is really good. Where they kind of lack, though, is going to be in their actual melee attack and defense stats. At least with the shielded variant, we have a decent melee defense, but the melee attack is still pretty low, considering, let me think, like a swordsman for the Empire, I believe, has a 32 stat. Yeah, I think it's 32 and 32 for melee attack and defense, and they are much cheaper than the Source Warriors. But, the Empire Swordsmen don't have 60 armor and 52 weapon strength, so they may not hit as often as other troops in, like, the mid-tier that have higher melee attack and defense stats, but when they do hit, it's going to be hard, and they can take a hit for a while, so I really do like the Source Warriors. So we got 5 of those, and again, 2 Source Spears. In the front line as well, trying to aid us here against this fight against the Beast, I brought some Croxicors, because they are bonus versus infantry and armor piercer, so I thought maybe if the enemy brings some Besticors to try and overwhelm our Source front line, then it would be nice to have these Croxicors. Honestly, I think this is probably one of the worst units for the Lizardman roster. I just don't think they're good enough for how much they cost. They are somewhat tanky with 100 armor, but their melee attack and defense stats are terrible for monster infantry. Now, luckily, their bonus versus infantry is a plus 20, so if they are hitting their ideal target of small creatures, they are swinging at a 46 instead of a 26. But, the thing is, with monstrous creatures, you can sometimes double up and use them against targets that they're not really made for. Like some units that have bonus versus large, you can still use them against infantry because their melee attack is going to be high enough to still hit decently enough. But with a 26, you try and get these guys on like heavy cav, they're not going to do super great. So that's kind of why I think they're one of the weakest points, because they really can only be used against infantry, and even then, I don't think they're super amazing at it. I just think they look cool, and they have really cool attack animations and kill animations because they're like an alligator. They roll around, and they look cool. But honestly, I think they're one of the weakest units in the Lizardman roster, which is why I only brought one of them instead of multiple. Then we have a Bastiladon with a solar engine. The Bastiladon's missile attack has the blinded trait. I gotta scroll all the way up here just so that I can actually show you the stuff. Blinded trait, which is going to lower the enemy's melee attack, accuracy, and melee defense, which is pretty neat. Also does some decent amount of damage, not necessarily armor piercing focus, but it's a nice debuff with the blinded stat, so it's kind of null. I don't even know what I'm even trying to say. Kind of neat. It's kind of neat. Also, they have skinks on the side, so hola skink and all that stuff. We also have a fire and magical damage on this attack as well, so it could be nice to counter enemy like ethereal units, which the Beastmen do not have. But I'm just saying, you can use this to counter like ethereal units. I'm saying the word too fast. Or like the vampire counts, they have a lot of regenerating creatures, so you can bring this against them, and that does bonus damage versus their regeneration creatures because they take bonus damage from flaming attacks, in case you didn't know. But also on top of that, it is still a very tanky Bastiladon, so it has a pretty weak melee attack as the other Bastiladons do, but when they do hit, again, they hit pretty hard, and they have a decent buff against infantry, as you can see there, and they're just so tanky, so very tanky. It's a really cool unit. I like the solar engine. I like all the Bastiladons, really. I think they all have really a good use for what they do. Anyway, so that's going to be the Bastiladon. You can see it's currently firing at probably the Razorgore herd, or maybe the Minotaurs. Probably the Minotaurs. Let's go see this shot real quick. Hold on. Then we'll get over the rest of the army. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And get teased. Okay, we're not. I'm just kidding. I'm not. The payoff. Oh! Did that kill it? No, didn't kill it. Knocked it down. It's going to be back up. So anyway, let me pause this before the battle actually gets started. So the Bastiladon, alright, we were being led by Lord Masamundi on top of his massive Triceratops creature here, with the cool looking horns and the 2 skinks up there. So Masamundi very tanky on this mount, and for the spells, I brought the Harmonic Convergence, which is a nice melee and attack buff, melee defense and attack buff, which is pretty neat. We also have Curse of the Midnight Wind, which has always been one of my favorite spells in the game. Although I believe it has been nerfed kind of a few times since this game originally came out. I think at base, the duration used to be like 40-something seconds without overcasting it. So it used to be better, but it's still a pretty cool debuff spell. And then we have Apotheosis, which is a single target heal, and then that unit can also cost Fear, and it's pretty cheap, so it's nice to spam that one out. Then we also have the Shield of the Old Ones, which is something that I believe all Slan can bring with the damage resistance and leadership for 17 seconds. We have Banishment, which is going to be unique, to Mazdamundi, and then also his unique Ruination of Cities, which we will be seeing. It is the wind spell that shoots off 3, I believe, different wind spells, technically. And I don't know, it's a neat looking spell. I honestly have never really gotten too much done with it, but it looks cool. And then on the mount, he does do some poison damage with his kinks, I believe, throw their little javelins from his chariot thing. Does a lot of damage versus infantry, and again, just a very tanky dinosaur with a Slan on his back. So it's a nice setup. What else do we got? Oh, to finish up the roster, we have 2 of the Pterodon riders with the Fire Leech Bolas. The Fire Leech Bolas are going to be really good at killing the low-armored Beastmen infantry, of which, unfortunately, there's not much of. And I brought 2 of these to try and weaken, like, gore herds, ungores, all that type of stuff. Not too many targets for them to hit in this battle. For the enemy Beastman army, speaking of them, we have 4 of the Ungor Spearman herds, 2 over here and then 2 up there, and then they went really monster heavy. So you have 2 groups of the Razorgore herds, which I really like them. They have a really high charge bonus. They hit really hard. Their armor is pretty low. Their melee defense and melee attack is really low, so they're really meant to just kind of get in there, charge, and hopefully you can pull them out before they start rampaging, because unfortunately they will rampage, which means you will lose control of them. But God, they hit super hard for the price. I really do like the pigs. I think they're pretty solid. I think they always have been. Then we on to some more monsters. I believe there are 3 groups of Chaos Spawn here, and here. Yep. So we got 3 groups of Chaos Spawn. They are being led by not only just a Bray Shaman of Beast with the transformation of Gadon, Curse of Honor on here. Pan's Pelt, I think, is the other spell there. Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. Sorry, it's a really nice buff spell with physical resistance and speed. So that's I've always liked the spells of the Beast lore. Then we also got Morgor. I was going to say Malagor, but we have Morgor, which means not only do we have to deal with 3 of these Chaos Spawn, we're going to deal with even more because he is the Chaos Spawn master. So expect some more Chaos Spawn out in the battlefield. And then we also have a Gorbul, which used to be one of the dominating heroes of the game back in Total War Warhammer 1. When you had health potions and stuff. Still a pretty powerful combatant, especially when going up against large creatures, because he has a huge bonus against large of 30. So this monster, after the charge bonus wears off, still has a 66 attack against any large creature. Very tanky, and he has the other stats to buff that, so constantly around him is going to buff the melee attack, leadership, and charge bonus of all units around him. So you put him with another group of Minotaurs, and that just helps him out even more. They also brought Deadly Onslaught and the Foe Seeker, which are nice buffs if you have the money for them. They're not that expensive, but I do typically kind of take these off because sometimes I always forget to actually activate Deadly Onslaught because you're microing so much. So I usually just save a little bit of money and get something else and take these off. But it's totally fine if you use them. If you have the micro to use them, then use them for sure. And then we also have the Blood Greed. So this is going to be procced if the enemy is in the ability range. So within 70 meters, he's going to get even more leadership, more speed, and he becomes immune to terror, which kind of makes him more tankier, and he will not rout as quickly as you may think he should because he loves to fight. He's a Gorbul. And then speaking about Minotaurs, we also have a group of Minotaurs with great weapons. Still a very solid anti-large unit of Minotaurs. I think they're very cool. You can see that their stats are a little changed right now because they got blasted by the Solar Engine, but they just hit so hard. They are a very good monstrous unit, unlike the Croxagores. But anyway, we got one of those units. Then we have 2 of the Chaos Puppies with poison, so you can see that they also splurged a little bit here and got the upgrade to the puppies and gave them some poison attacks. They just look really cool. It's hard to see them here, but like some of them got like horns coming out of their mouths and stuff. Anyway, so we got 2 fast attacks there, and then I believe that is their whole army. So a lot of monstrous units, not much chaff, nor do they have any Bestigors. So these Croxagores are basically useless. Let's go. Because the only infantry that they do have also is anti-large. Now, the Ungor Spearmen don't really have that high of armor piercing, so the high armor of the Croxagores can still block a lot of that damage, but still, no Bestigors for these Croxagores to try and just totally dominate. Anyway, we're going to get charged by some of the Razorgore herds. Again, they do really good damage, I believe, on the charge. We're going to try and counter-charge real quick with Mazdamundi. I'm not sure why I'm pulling it back. This is actually not a bad fight for him. Oh, this is why, because the Gorbul was coming. So we're trying to stick the Gorbul. We're trying to stick some spears in the Gorbul to try and pin him down, and we got some more monsters just charging into our front lines. We're going to throw our Croxagores into the Chaos Spawn, which is honestly not a great fight for them, but I didn't want them fighting the Ungor Spearman herd. Maybe I should have anyway. The thing is, though, that you got to remember is that the because I actually haven't really looked at the Chaos Spawn for a while, but let's take a look at their stats. So they are unbreakable, obviously, but they only have 10 armor. Their melee defense is not very high, but they do have the poison attacks and they hit very hard. The thing is, though, it's not armor piercing focused. 40 damage is neat, but like for a monstrous creature, it's not the highest ever. So a lot of their damage is going to be base weapon damage. So the Kroxigors here can still tank a lot. They're going to get hit a lot, they're going to get poisoned, but they will at least absorb a lot of the damage of the Chaos Spawn, as these Saurus Warriors are going to do a lot of damage against the Chaos Spawn, because Saurus Warriors, again, hit for 52, well, when they're not poisoned, they hit for 52, I guess, for right now in this matchup, they'll be hitting for 41. Still pretty heavy. So the thing is, in this matchup, it was odd. I was not expecting the Chaos Spawn because Saurus Warriors hit so hard, and the Chaos Spawn also hit hard, but the thing is, the Chaos Spawn only have 10 armor, but I guess in theory, maybe they could break the Saurus Warriors before the Chaos Spawn dies, I guess. But anyway, so we got a lot of Chaos Spawn in the front line. We have Ungor Spearman trying to get in there along with another group of Chaos Spawn. Morgor, I believe, is already in the middle. Yep, there he is. And over here, we are being chased by the puppies with Masamudi, but Masamudi is totally cool with killing puppies. Puppies are a small creature, so Masamudi's bonus versus small procs on them, and we can already have routed them, but they will come back pretty soon. The Saurus Warriors in the middle, along with the Kroxigors, are just getting pounded. There's the Ruination of Cities, by the way. Getting pounded by double Chaos Spawn and Morgor. We're trying to hold it back with the Kroxigors, but these guys, I believe, will break. You can see that the Solar Engine is still trying to do some damage to the Minotaur's great weapons. I'm going to be pulling back our spears here to try and get on them, but they're actually going to maneuver around and try and get on Masamudi. So you can see them just trying to pin Masamudi down with the puppies as well. But Masamudi has a lot of mass on top of that dinosaur, so we're just actually going to move him through up here and try and just run blockers. You can see I'm trying to disengage one spear here, again trying to follow the Minotaurs. I'm going to have this spearman, I think, also try and block the puppies and this Minotaur as well. We need to try and keep the Minotaurs away from Masamudi and away from the Solar Engine. You can see the Gorbul was already trying to get on the Solar Engine as well. Luckily, we have done a lot of good damage to him. I believe he got blasted with the Solar Engine a couple times. In the middle, our Kroxigors, again, they're holding a long time against all these monstrous units because they do have the high armor to try and counter the high damage of the Chaos Spawn. Manticore Summon going down from the Brace Shaman of Beast that's going to actually eventually... So basically, this Pterodon Rider is going to be out for the rest of the battle. This Manticore is going to be assigned to them, and I'm just going to let them just follow the Pterodon Riders, and I believe they do this for the entire fight. So I'm basically down one Pterodon Rider because I don't want to engage this thing in melee. The other Pterodon Riders still doing pretty good. I've had them focusing on the Ungor herds where I could. I believe we have routed the Ungor herds for the most part at this point, because with the help of the high damage of the Fire Leech bolas, which do area of effect, low like armor piercing damage, which is really good for Ungors. They have just kind of routed them. And then on the left flank here, we have already, oops, on the left flank we've already won. We still have some Saurus Warriors freed up, so I believe I'm going to send another one into the middle to try and assist our, oh god, the damage, look at here. So the Gorbul and the Minotaurs, the great weapons, are now on the Solar Engine, and I'm like, I need to get you out of here. So we're trying to pull the Solar Engine out there, trying to pin them down with the Saurus Warriors and the Spear variants. Meanwhile, Masamudi is just going around killing things. I think we're actually going to focus, yeah, I'm going to focus on the Gorbul here because he's one of our biggest threats, and Masamudi does do a lot of armor-piercing damage. Granted, he's not a bonus versus large, but it's fine. Popping the shield of the old ones here to try and keep the Kroxigors, and more importantly, keep Masamudi alive during this. So we're blocking a ton of damage right now with the Curse of the Midnight Wind and the shield up. You can see we're not really taking that much considering we're fighting the Gorbul and the Minotaur's great weapons, and it bought us enough time to just zerg down the Minotaurs and do a lot of good damage to the Gorbul. So with that double debuff with the Curse of Honor in here, and, I'm sorry, not the Curse, the Curse of Midnight Wind, and the shield to help increase our physical resistance chance, like we are blocked. We just tanked so much damage there for free, and it was a really good kind of combo of spells. Anyway, Morgor and the Brace Shaman of Beast have broken through the middle. He has summoned, I think that's his first, maybe second of the Chaos Spawn. But you can see, they did break through the middle a little bit, but like, look at the Chaos Spawn. They've taken a ton of damage because, again, like, Saurus Warriors hit so damn hard. So, and these guys only have 10 armor and low melee defense. So, like, it's a weird matchup. It's kind of a matchup where they kind of just kill each other pretty well, you know? So, the Chaos Spawn are pretty heavily injured. The Chaos Puppies are also not looking super great because they're trying to fight against Saurus Warriors, who are more than a match for them, and also Masamudi, which has the bonus versus infantry. You can see Apotheosis being cast here because we really need to save him. You can see Morgor is on him. The Gorbul is our biggest threat, though, because, again, we have a ton of monstrous infantry. That's our second banishment. I think none of my banishments did really well in this fight. But we're going to be surrounded by the Chaos Spawn, but again, all their weapon strength is basically the normal damage, and Masamudi has 140 armor, which blocks an obscene amount of damage if it's not armor piercing. And the same thing with Morgor, actually. Let me look at Morgor real quick. I know I've been pausing a lot, but Morgor, where's your Chaos Spawn loving butt? He's buried in here somewhere. I can see his flag, but I can't see. There we. There we. Alright, so he has 400 weapon strength, but again, he's not an armor-piercing focus. So we have this guy who looks like he hits hard. Chaos Spawn also hit hard, but the Gorbals are only real threat because he has all the armor-piercing damage. Everything here is getting blocked by the 140 armor, which again, I don't know the exact percentage because it's been a while since I've looked at them, but 140 is obscene. It has to be at least 90% damage is blocked at that point with 140, if not even more. But honestly, I can't remember. It's an obscene amount of damage being blocked by his armor, though. So he's going to be able to tank a lot of this. Again, the only problem here is the Gorbal, which is why he's now been sent flying, because that's the only target that I'm trying to focus on. I'm trying to have Masamundi just kill the Gorbal, because again, he can just tank these guys for days. He has a ton of hit points, ton of armor. The Chaos Spawn and Morgor are not a problem. The Gorbal is. But in any case, we're still trying to run some Source Warriors in here to try and just take some hits for Masamudi, because he is still a leader. We don't want him to get hit as much as possible. Meanwhile, in the back, you can see Pterodon Rider still being chased by the Feral Manticore, is slowly dying to summoning sickness. Over here on the left flank, the Chaos Spawn summons are going to be destroyed by the Source Warriors and the Bastiladon with the Solar Engine. The the Minotaur's great weapons are coming back, but I'm trying to free up this damn Bastiladon who's been kind of tied up for a long time. Has gotten a couple shots, but now here comes some more Chaos Puppies to keep him tied up again. Another shield of the other ones in the middle there to try and keep Masamuni even tankier than he already is. And at this point, we have almost killed all of the Chaos Spawn. The Razor Herd has taken a lot of damage. The Gorbal is near death, which is the only real weapon they have left against Masamundi, because it's just going to take so long for them to kill him at this time. If they don't have the Gorbal kill him, then they're kind of doomed. Then the Minotaurs come back, but we are able to rout them again with a almost fresh unit of Source Warriors. And so now that Bastiladon is finally free to kind of fire in here, I believe I'm going to be targeting the Gorbal and then the Razor Herd, because the Razor Herd also does armor-piercing damage, so we don't want any of that getting through. But he has been surrounded for a long time, and you can see he's not even at half health yet. And that's when the enemy is going to actually surrender. The fight was not exactly over, but with the Gorbal, like 1 or 2 hits from death, with the Solar Engine freed up to actually snipe in there, I think it was only a matter of time, because Masamuni could have tanked that still for a very long time until everyone else eventually routed and we could have killed Morgor. But still, that is going to be a GG for the Lizardmen. If you were watching the balance of power, for a while there, it actually looked like it was slipping into their favor. I'm not entirely sure when it slipped into ours. It was probably because it was kind of inflated with the Chaos Spawns, and the Feral Manticore spawns was kind of shifting the balance of power, but as they started to die off, it shifted back into our favor. And again, just Masamuni just tanked all of that because he was in a mount. If I did not have him mounted, holy crap, he would have been dead, because Masamundi is still a large creature, even unmounted, because he's just a big frog guy on his throne. So the Minotaurs would have just massacred him. But since we put him on the mount, he was able to just sit there and tank all of those spawn, tank Morgor for days. He doesn't care. With 140 armor, you just don't care in that kind of matchup. So it really worked out for me that they spent so much money on the Chaos Spawn, because Masamuni was just up there like blah, 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 blah. I don't know, imagine that's how Frogman laughs. So again, good game to Serenity Chams, and I don't know if there's really many standout units. The Source Warriors just did what they do. They hit hard, they take a hit back as well, and Masamuni just did some good stuff. The Banishment spells did not do any work this time. The Ruination of Cities did some damage against the Ungor herds, but against the monster-focused army, I don't think Ruination of Cities nor Banishment is going to be super good in that case, so it's kind of a waste of money. Croxagor is dead at 5 kills. I don't know if those were on Chaos Spawn or Ungor herds. I honestly don't know, but this is not their matchup at all. But still, it's cool to rock the alligators, I guess. And then the Pterodon Riders did some decent damage to the Ungor herds before one of them was chased off into infinity and beyond. And then the other one eventually did run out of ammo. And I did have them actually do, I believe, cycle charges on some of the units towards the end. You probably noticed it. I didn't talk about it, but they were doing some cycle charges there towards the end. And the poor Bastiladon. God, it was just being chased and tied down for so long, but finally was able to get free, was finally going to be able to snipe the Gorbal, but then the match ended, and it was kind of sad. But anyway, good game again to Serenity. I hope you enjoyed. Let's go watch the cinematic view. These would have been really cool had they devoted more money into like gore herds and stuff. I should have charged here, that was a mistake. I think I was too focused on seeing these puppies coming around behind me. Roxagors, go! In theory, the bolas still do decent damage against the spawn, though, because the spawn have such low armor. I don't even know what happened there. Listen, I don't know. I don't know what happened with that banishment. I have no explanation for that. Oh, I missed the Ruination Cities. Whoops. Where's these Minotaurs? There they are. Oh, getting blasted in the face. And they just run them around my forces. I don't know why I didn't just engage with my Source Warriors there. Again, that every shot that Bastiladon hits is, you know, debuffing that unit for a while. I believe that's an Apotheosis, or... Man, oh, that's probably Cold Blood, actually. Just try and keep them in the fight a little bit longer with their leadership up. So many spawn. The sun is rising. Yeah, like, I imagine these bowlers should have done some decent damage to these guys, clumped up like that, especially. It's probably why I had them firing on them right there. This thing's probably trying to fire into this group, but it can't. I just didn't notice. There we go. Frogman wins again. Take that, Ooh, is he getting gorged? Like, just... Or is it gouged? Gouged? No. He's just being hugged by the horns. Oh, look at that hug. Oh, it's cute. Friendship was born. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all next time. Take care.